This is your radio, Cayman.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. FIS MoneyGram, the safest and most convenient way to send money worldwide. MoneyGram, bringing you closer. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga distributors. Accept substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. And Fidelity Bank. Fidelity, we're good for you.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the Record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Today is Wednesday, the 11th day of March 2020. I hope and I trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful evening. Those of you who are in the vicinity of the dump area off Estella Tibbetts Highway, or is that the Harquail Bypass? I hope and I trust that things are back to normal there with you, that you are now, those of you who were evacuated from your residences, that you are now settled back home again. And it is basically one of those things that happen, not restricted to the Cayman Islands in terms of dump fires. I think Jamaica, Kingston has a very famous or infamous one, Riverton dump that is always, I shouldn't say always, but occasionally fires arise there as well. We want to thank our brave, courageous, underpaid firefighters out there who spent so much time, or Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, all of those persons and their politicians also for showing up there, even though not much they could do in terms of physical activity, but just simply the moral support being there, as well. I'm sure that was appreciated by all of those who were working there, Department of Environmental Health, all of their staff as well. So we hope and we trust that things are getting back to normal in the Cayman Islands, and it is all a part of life. Bumps in the road that we have to, that we will encounter, and we simply just have to deal with them as well. So if you're on the roads of the Cayman Islands this morning, whether you're a pedestrian, whether you're a cyclist operating any type of vehicle on the roads of the Cayman Islands, we again urge you to please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road, and remember that the life you save may be your own. No one in the studio yet this morning, but Mr. Miller did indicate that he would be in. I'm not sure whether or not he's caught in traffic, and I believe that when he comes, if he does come in, he will have to leave us around about 9:30 this morning as well. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working elsewhere. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During those periods, our phone lines are always open. There is always someone there waiting to take your calls, and you know what I'm going to say next. 9 times out of 10, it is that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and the 949-6990. Of course, if you don't like to talk on the telephone, then email us at For The Record, one word, For The Record, at candw.ky. WhatsApp us, 925-3261. You can leave us a text message, send us a voice note. The contents will be played during the course of this show. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. Again, I want to give a big shout out to all those of you who, whenever you see me on the roads, wherever you see me, that you comment about Radio Cayman. In particular, you comment about the show and the fact that you do listen. And I want to give a big shout out to some of our listening fans. And Miss Susan wants to extend her big shout out also to Miss Venice and also the Flatleys. They are regular listeners to the show on or off island, and they do contribute to the conversation as well. Not necessarily by calling in, but as I pointed out earlier, there are various methods that you can use to communicate with us here at Radio Cayman, and in particular at For The Record as well. So I just want to give a big shout out to those some of those listeners, to everyone, but I've called a few names this morning, and don't really like to single out people, but sometimes it is good to give that extra shout out. A few things I want to bring to your attention right away. It seems as if some fake news is going out there on social media in relation to case of the coronavirus here in the Cayman Islands, and it is attributed to the Cayman Compass, and the Compass has refuted that. And I know there are many converts to social media, but social media needs to be used responsibly. And if those people who will put out fake news on there, if they have nothing good to do or to say, then they should really do nothing and say nothing, because it does not really help the situation, especially when the subject surrounds a person's safety, their health, and possibly their lives as well. So people really, really want to refrain from the childish behavior that they're practicing here in the Cayman Islands and elsewhere, but in particular here in the Cayman Islands. Talking about the coronavirus, and I'm no medical expert, we had the Minister for Health on a few Fridays ago. We had the Chief Medical Officer. We had the Chief Medical Officer the Medical Officer for Health, Dr. Samuel Williams, was on with us as well. The Honorable Dwayne Seymour, Minister, and Dr. John Lee, they were all here talking about the coronavirus. That are worth asking, and if the Chief Medical Officer or the Medical Officer for Health are listening in, or if anyone from the ministry is listening in, my concern has to do with the testing protocols in the Cayman Islands, and the mere fact that we have to wait at least somewhere around 5 days to get results that have to be sent overseas to, I think it's called CARPA, the Caribbean Public Health Agency, based in Trinidad, and we have to wait that long for results. In the event that we were to see several cases arise here in the Cayman Islands, can we really afford, and I'm not trying to be alarmist in any way, I'm trying to be realistic, can we really afford to wait 5 days for the results to come? Now, in the Bahamas, for instance, they have indicated that they will be establishing and putting all resources behind a laboratory in the Bahamas for their testing to be done there. Turks and Caicos Islands, in the Turks and Caicos weekly newspaper, government ready for COVID-19. The government is looking at developing ways to test for the coronavirus on island to properly, to procure containment units, and has just earmarked quarantine sites at Grand Turk and Provinciales. Says the meeting was called as health professionals in the Dominican Republic reported on the weekend that they have confirmed cases of the disease, now also referred to as COVID-19, in the sister Caribbean country. As this news spread across the Turks and Caicos Islands, so did rumors that there are also confirmed cases in the territory. So they're getting rumors similar to what we see happening here in the Cayman Islands as well. Says this was firmly debunked by the Health Ministry, Honorable Edwin Astwood, and health officials present at the press conference. While the country does not have the capacity to treat the disease, Dr. Nadia Astwood, Director of Health Services, said the Turks and Caicos Islands are utilizing the resources of the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPA, laboratory for testing of any suspected disease. So again, we see another Caribbean island relying on the Caribbean Public Health Agency, their laboratory for testing. Now, I'm not sure how many other Caribbean islands have to rely on CARPA for testing as well. But if that is the case, then you can now see why I have expressed the concerns about our reliability on CARPA, and my question now is whether or not the authorities in the Cayman Islands will look to establish some sort of testing facility here in the Cayman Islands as a matter of urgency and as a precautionary measure as well. I think that is something that seriously needs to be taken into consideration, because when you have to rely on other agencies in other jurisdictions, while we may have established protocols and arrangements with them, we know what usually happens. They will look out for their own first and foremost, and then anyone after that as well. So if you're listening, if you're a member of the committee that has been established in the Cayman Islands, the cross-governmental agencies or multidisciplinary agencies that have been established to address the coronavirus issue in the Cayman Islands, please let us know whether or not there are any thoughts by the government in terms of looking at alternatives other than the Caribbean Public Health Agency for the testing protocols to take place. Folks, I'm going to take a commercial break now. When we return, the conversation will continue. Don't change that dial. Please call in, share your views with me as well.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the historical vignette series, The Cayman Islands. He hath founded it upon the seas.
The Bay Islands of the northern shores of Honduras, including Utila, Rotan, and Guanaja or Panaca, along with the islets of Elaine, Barbarat, and Murat, saw a rather rapid and dramatic settlement of Caymanians following emancipation in the Cayman Islands. In 1850, Captain R.C. Michael visited Rotan and would later lay claim of the Caymanian migrants. Of the former slaves, he stated,
"The mass of population is a fine race. They are strong, active, and athletic. Temperature, quiet and regular in their habits, not given to excess. I should say there are fewer vices than one usually meets. Among their class, they speak the English language remarkably well, beyond that of any of their race I have ever met."
On the whites, he noted,
"The European migrants, though small in number, exercises a great influence over the minds of the community."
In regards to the mixed-raced population, Captain Michael was far less flattering, denoting them as the most wretched on the island.
Information from this historical vignette was sourced from Founded Upon the Seas, a history of the Cayman Islands and their people by Michael Creighton and the New History Committee.
I remember playing at 7 Mile Beach as a boy, eating mango by the sea, learning how to snorkel. My mother, she worked so hard to provide for our family so that we could have those moments. Seeing her age has been tough. That strong, capable woman, now in need of daily support, it's my time to be strong for her.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of the careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
We all know there's nothing more refreshing than the taste of an ice-cold Coca-Cola straight from the cooler.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling.
Whether it's celebrating a birthday, promotion, or just a great meal, make each moment a Coca-Cola moment.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling.
Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Make sure you ask for the unforgettable flavor of a classic Coca-Cola.
2020 means perfect vision, and if you have your sights set on driving a new hybrid, then the time is now to check out the new RAV4 and CHR. Hold up. Just two of the many hybrid models that Vamped is bringing to Cayman. Whether you're looking for a smoother and quieter way of driving or want a car that maximizes fuel efficiency while minimizing emissions, there are lots of ways a new hybrid from Vamped can make the difference in your life. Hybrids save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries without being plugged in. So focus your 2020 vision on a new hybrid from Vamped Motors, and we will see you through. Come to Vamped, home of the hybrid, located on Walkers Road.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio yet. We're expecting Mr. MLA, Mr. Ezra Miller, to join us this morning at some point in time, and if he does join us, I believe he will have to leave us around about 9:30. So you heard me earlier speak about the fake news email that has been circulating, and I will share with you the article from the Cayman Compass. Public advised not to open, eat the email or the link as well. And it says here, a fake email alert bearing the Compass Media name has started circulating locally, and the public is being advised not to open or share the link. The scam email was brought to the attention of the Caymanian Compass Tuesday morning. It uses the headline, Alert First Case of Novel Coronavirus, in the Cayman Islands. This is not an email from the Cayman Compass, its parent company. Additionally, the information contained in the alert is not true. There are no cases of COVID-19 on island. Sorry. On Monday, Public Health confirmed that 5 samples have been sent for testing. Those results are expected within the coming days. The email alert is not an authentic news alert from the Compass Media Group, and as such, those who receive it are advised to thrash it immediately. Any email alert from the Compass will contain formal logos and be distributed via the official website and social media pages. Now, I know that there are people out there who rely on social media, in particular Facebook, for their news and for their information. And some people take it as Bible leaf. They then take it and they share it with other friends, and then it spreads like wildfire. It is extremely irresponsible. I know that there are people who act responsibly, and whenever they receive something like this, they will actually go to the website. For instance, last week there were reports about the coronavirus appearing in Jamaica. That was untrue. This week, people received the same information. Persons that they were getting it from, they felt that they were credible, but at the same time, what they did was go on to a Jamaica website, in particular the Jamaica Gleaner website, and on there, they were able to see that it was really true, that it was legitimate news that was coming from Jamaica. So it was able to be confirmed. But we really don't want to create panic in the Cayman Islands, and you don't want to put out false information, because then when real information comes out, then what do we do about it? Then, some people will have a tendency to mistrust it as well. Speaking of, again, the health situation we see in the United Kingdom, where the health minister over there, Nadine Dorries, has tested positive for coronavirus as well. So, as we know, no one is immune from it. And so the BBC advises us, the health minister, Conservative MP Nadine Dorries, has been diagnosed with coronavirus. She said that she has been self-isolating at home. Labour MP Rachel Maskell said she has since been told to do the same, as she has met Ms. Dorries. Department of Health said that the minister first showed symptoms on Thursday, the same day she attended an event hosted by the Prime Minister. 6 people with the virus have died in the UK, which has a total of 382 cases. Latest person to die was a man in his early 80s who had underlying health conditions as well. Meanwhile, a 53-year-old British woman has become the first person with COVID-19, this disease caused by the virus, to die in Indonesia, according to local media reports. It is not clear whether the woman, who was reportedly critically ill with multiple health conditions, died due to the virus. The Foreign and Commonwealth Office said it is supporting the family of this woman, as well. So again, no one is immune from it. You want to take all of the necessary precautions. Again, not a doctor, don't know much about this, but based on what I'm hearing, one of the things that we need to do is sanitize your hands. You've heard Dr. Lee, Dr. Williams on the show tell you about the precautionary measures to take. They have provided information, leaflets to people as well. Social distancing is extremely important. In the Caribbean, we're not as huggy, kissy as in Europe, but we do it here in the Cayman Islands. So you want to ensure that you use other ways of greeting rather than handshaking, maybe giving an elbow or something. But social distancing is also extremely important. But I am curious. We want to hear, because it is important for us to be proactive, and we know that the government has taken steps. The government continues to take measures to deal with the virus in the event that it appears in the Cayman Islands. We need to know about testing, because if we get it here and the numbers start to go up in terms of suspected cases, I believe, my view is that 5 days is really too long. With such a small island, a population of, some people say 60-odd thousand. I question that myself, but let's work with the 60-odd thousand numbers. It is extremely, extremely important for us to get test results back as quickly as possible. It seems as if the self quarantining is one of the things that we would expect people to do in the Cayman Islands. The article that I read in the Turks and Caicos, where they're actually developing quarantine sites to locate persons who are infected. Whether or not that is the intention in the Cayman Islands is something else. But again, so important, extremely, extremely important for us to ensure that we follow the advice of the health experts, the health officials in the Cayman Islands, so that we can all do our part in ensuring that the spread of the coronavirus in the Cayman Islands does not occur, or if it does occur, that we try to minimize it as much as possible. Top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now by Foster's is 8 o'clock.
At Bay Market Cafe, we know life can get in the way of good food. So we're here to offer a helping hand. Online ordering is back, and this time it's better than ever. With hundreds of menu items to choose from, you can order breakfast, lunch, dinner, or a sweet treat and pick it up at Bay Market Cafe in Camana Bay in just 20 minutes. Work or live in Camana Bay? Have it delivered. So whether you need your morning coffee or you're craving a bowl of ramen, order the food you love and skip the line. Visit baymarket.ky to order.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by Value Med Pharmacy, with 2 locations to serve you, Walkers Road in Georgetown and an Evron Plaza, Boddentown. Visit Value Med, more than just a pharmacy. ValueMed Pharmacy is your community care partner for health and wellness needs. We offer convenient prescription processing at the counter and online at value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com, with pickup available at the Walkers Road or Boddentown location. We also accept transfer prescriptions from other pharmacies. More than just a pharmacy, shop ValueMed for personal care and beauty products from trusted brands, perfume and gift sets, Hallmark and greeting cards, baby clothes, footwear, handbags, swimwear, home decor, toys, school supplies, and stationery. And home convalescence aids like wheelchairs, walkers, crutches, canes, and hospital beds. With 2 locations to serve you, Walkers Road in Georgetown and in Evron Plaza, Boddentown. Visit ValueMed, more than just a pharmacy.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller.
The purpose of this is to provide public education on what is, without question, a national threat.
Elected representatives and health officials host the first in a series of meetings on the COVID-19 coronavirus on Grand Cayman Tuesday night at Mary Miller Hall. As you heard live right here on Radio Cayman, Premier the Honorable Alton McLaughlin opened by saying every country in the world will be affected by the disease.
More than 100 countries have now been affected. There have been more than 4,000 deaths. And indeed, in recent days, it has crept closer and closer to us. With the most recent instance being the announcement or the confirmation of the virus in neighboring Jamaica.
Government has been preparing a comprehensive plan over the past few months to deal with COVID-19, including the recent partial activation of the National Emergency Operations Center. Mr. McLaughlin says government recognizes COVID-19 as a real threat, not just for the health of residents, but economically as well.
Our first effort has been and continues to be to try to keep the virus from entering our shores. But the reality is, it is quite frankly inevitable that it will arrive on our shores if it has not already done so. And I say that because as of this evening, we have tested and sent abroad for analysis samples from 6 persons here who have presented with symptoms similar or corresponding to the virus.
He says government and the private sector's focus is now expanding to preventing the spread of the disease once it arrives.
The methods which seem to work best involve restricting the movement of people and the congregation of people, which might seem a bit ironic as we're having a meeting here this evening. But it may well be that we will have to think again about future meetings depending on how this thing progresses.
The next public meeting is Thursday, March 12th at 7 p.m. at Boddentown Civic Center. Government has issued a warning to residents about a potential email scam that's reeling people in with a fake news story about the coronavirus. Government says if you get an email purporting to be from the Cayman Compass with the title Alert, First Case of Novel Coronavirus in the Cayman Islands, do not open or share the link. It is potentially a phishing scam. The Compass says this email is fake and didn't come from them. There are still no confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the Cayman Islands. For the latest information and resources on COVID-19, you can visit gov.ky/coronavirus. In other news, students who've been stuck at home for 2 days as fire crews battled a blaze at the landfill are back in school today. The Ministry of Education has announced that Georgetown Primary School and the transitional unit housed at the school will be open to students today. The next update on the situation at the landfill is expected from government this hour. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Danielle Jałowiecka. The German Chancellor Angela Merkel has warned that between 60 and 70% of the German population could contract the coronavirus. In her first public pronouncement on the crisis, she said the priority was to protect the elderly and vulnerable and ensure that health services were not overwhelmed.
Elsewhere, the Bank of England has made a record cut to its main interest rate to help British businesses and households cope with economic disruption caused by the COVID-19 outbreak. The base rate has gone down to 0.25%. The Chinese doctor who says she was the first to raise the alarm about the virus has expressed regret that she didn't do more to warn people. Dr. Ai Fen stopped talking about the illness after being reprimanded by the hospital authorities for spreading rumours. In other news, Israeli forces are reported to have killed a Palestinian teenager in the occupied West Bank. Hundreds of Palestinians are said to have gathered near Nablus, following rumours that Israeli settlers were planning to seize some land there. That's the latest BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by Value Med Pharmacy, with 2 locations to serve you, Walkers Road in Georgetown and an Evron Plaza, Boddentown. Visit Value Med, more than just a pharmacy. Did you know that Value Med Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with Value Med. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. Value Med on Walkers Road or Boddentown. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Members of the public are invited to attend community meetings this week to discuss the coronavirus preparation. Thursday, 12 March at 7 p.m. at the Civic Center in Boddentown, hosted by the Minister of Health, the Honorable Dwayne Seymour, Honorable Premier Aldin McLaughlin, with Ministry of Health and Public Health officials, as well as other key stakeholders. The meetings will also be broadcast live on Radio Cayman. Again, members of the public, you are invited to attend community meetings this week to discuss COVID-19 preparations in the Cayman Islands. Thursday, 12 March at 7 p.m. at the Civic Center in Boddentown.
Imagine if we all practice safe driving. Imagine if we all refused single-use plastic. Imagine if we all turned off lights when not in use. We can all do our part in making Cayman Islands safer, cleaner, and greener. Together, we can achieve. Visit gov.ky/safer, cleaner, greener to learn more.
I've got some beautiful clothes, but just where they go, Puritan Cleaners.
Puritan Cleaners, serving the Cayman Islands for over 60 years. Now offering 12% off ladies and gents wearing apparel, $20 and up prepaid, or 10% off pickup within 7 days. All household items standard 10% off prepaid. This offer good at all our stores until further notice. Savannah Countryside, Elgin Avenue, Georgetown, Eastern Avenue, Georgetown, 949-7104. Drive through, rain or shine. A great special. You feel good when you look good. The Weather Report is proudly sponsored by Super Stitch Sewing and Fabric Center, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Super Stitch. We are known for our amazing fabrics, top quality tailoring, and dressmaking. But did you know that we also carry trimmings, glitter, sequins, acrylic paints for fabrics and craft, floral wire, glues, markers, foam balls, and assorted ribbons? Yes, we do. You have a do-it-yourself project? Just pop into Super Stitch and see what we have in store for you. There is a craft item for your every need.
My favorite, the beads, glass ones, flat, and even those shell ones.
Super Stitch, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasadora Place, Smith Road, still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
A pleasant good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 78 degrees. Relative humidity is 84%. The barometric pressure 30.03 inches and rising. The wind is northeast at 10 knots. Overnight low temperature was 75. Synopsis indicate moderate northeasterly winds and moderate to rough seas will continue across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours in association with a high-pressure system over the western Atlantic Ocean. Radar images show isolated showers in and around the Cayman area moving towards the southwest. Now the forecast for calling for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers, and temperatures will be in the low 80s. Your winds will be east to northeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be rough with wave heights of 4 to 6 feet. Small craft should exercise caution over open waters. And the forecast for tonight, pretty much the same, partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers. Temperatures falling to the low 70s tonight. Your winds will be east to northeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Today's high tide will occur this morning at 10:34, low tide this afternoon at 4:58, high tide again tonight at 11:25, sunset 6:33, sunrise tomorrow morning at 6:37, and the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Friday morning.
Superstitch Sewing and Fabric Center was the proud sponsor of the Weather Report, your one-stop shop for all of your household items, craft items, jewelry, beads, and decorations, and much more. Call Superstitch at 949-2833 or email customercare@superstitch.com.ky. New stock has just arrived at Superstitch. Now don't take my word for it, drop by and see for yourself. Fresh off the boat, we have loads of fabric, vinyl upholstery fabric, fabric for cushions, outdoor fabrics, and dress fabric. That's not all. Superstitch has sewing accessories and craft items. Included in the new shipment, you will find sheets, comforters, throw pillows, bath mats, rugs, and curtains for every room in your home. Superstitch, 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best price in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
The Tuesday and Thursday edition of the Business Buzz is brought to you by Count on Us Cayman Limited, offering bookkeeping services, property management, customs brokerage, and Cayman auto and tech services. For more information, call them on 623-6941 or 323-3995 or email info@countonuscaymanlimited.com. It's the 8th annual Dress for Culture Day on Friday, March 13th. Celebrate Cayman's multicultural community by displaying your homeland pride and cultural dress. Your Dress Up, Dress Down donation of just $5 per adult and $3 per student goes towards the National Cultural Foundation's youth programs. Visit the @Cayman Culture Facebook and Instagram pages for more information on how you can win a prize for showing your national pride. Open to all schools, businesses, and individuals. Dress for Culture Day, part of K-Fest 2020, brought to you by CNCF. Email cncf@artscayman.org or call 949-5477 for more information.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Good morning once again. Let's take a look at traffic. Coming from the east on Shamrock Road, busy traffic on the Linford Pearson Highway. Light traffic on Owen Roberts Drive, and traffic is moderate coming off of Bobby Thompson Way. Steady traffic in some sections of Crew Road, other sections busy. From the West Bay 4-way, stop light to moderate traffic flow, and on the West Bay Road, traffic heading into Georgetown is moderate, as well as from Georgetown to West Bay, especially in front of the Ritz. And on Shedden Road, things looking pretty good as traffic flowing nicely. Pretty good traffic flow on Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue. And from the West Bay 4-way, stop moderate flow of traffic in both directions. And on North Sound Road, traffic is flowing moderately. That's the very latest on your traffic. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12. We'll give you another traffic outlook. Have a good morning. Buckle up.
You know what goes perfect with tuna? Bacon. That's why Subway's adding bacon to our delicious tuna sandwich. It's the Tuna BLT. At just 540 calories for a 6-inch, you'll love this mouth-watering combination of flavors. Subway's tasty tuna sandwich is simply sumptuous on its own, but add bacon and it's out of this world delicious. After all, bacon and tuna are perfect together. Stop by any of Subway's 7 locations today and get the Tuna BLT. Subway, eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Sending money to your family overseas shouldn't be a full-day process. Stop waiting in lines. MoneyGram, the safest and most convenient way to send money worldwide, offering 3 convenient locations: Shedden Road, Baden Water Sports in West Bay, and at FIS Brack Agency in Cayman Brack. MoneyGram by Financial Integrated Services. Visit fiscayman.com for more information on MoneyGram services. MoneyGram, bringing you closer.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio, so we're going to have an open line for you this morning. One of our listeners has sent me a message in relation to the question that I had in relation to the testing protocols and whether or not we're going to develop or have the ability to do the test here in the Cayman Islands for the coronavirus rather than having to wait 5 days for results to come from CARPA. And they have said that your question was answered during last night's meeting. Yes, and I want to thank the listener for sharing that and passing that information on to me as well. I also want to share with you an article in the Compass that would have been on the 6th of March, less than a week ago. Public Health England joins Cayman in coronavirus response efforts. And I really want to welcome people's participation. Tell us what you're doing to prepare, the measures that you are taking to avoid the possibility of infection in the event that the virus does show up in the Cayman Islands, because we know that there are people out there who are just waiting for it to happen, and then they're going to start to comment about it. Just like there are people who are up in arms about Smith's Bacadere, and many of them don't use Smith's Bacadere. How many of them join the locals, the real local Caymanians in the Easter time when they go out there to picnic? How many of them really go there, but they jump on the bandwagon when something happens? And we know that this will be the case here in the Cayman Islands in the event that the coronavirus were to emerge here in the Cayman Islands. So I want to hear from you. I want to get your suggestions now before anything happens, rather than Monday morning quarterbacking or being an armchair quarterback as well. What are you doing? Talk about it now. Don't talk about it later. Don't call and criticize and make suggestions later. Let's hear from you now. I believe we have a caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC. This is Kenneth Bryan.
Good morning, Mr. Bryan. How are you?
Not too bad. First, I want to say congratulations to the firemen for handling the fire the way they did. They're so amazing and should be credited for that. Finally, we see how great they are and how important they are. So some people, question what they do all day, so big credit going out to them. But the reason I called in this morning is to remind the listening public that tomorrow is the start of the inter-primary sports track meet. And it will be going on for 2 days, Thursday and Friday. And the young people, this is the one opportunity where they unite and compete against each other for good, healthy fun by way of competition of sport. It's one of those things that really, really unifies us. I know that we have the worry about all the germs and all that, but bring some hand sanitizer, make sure you put it in your pocket and keep yourself clean, but come out and support the kids. It's one of the things that will give you some real joy with all the craziness that's going on. Coming and watching kids have fun and smile and participate and show their strength is probably one of the best smoothing mental things you can do. Whenever I get frustrated with politics, I go watch kids have fun. It makes me feel better. But outside of that, come and give them some support. They're going to need it. If you can take a day off from work or you have a holiday or vacation, tomorrow is the day to do it. Go and support the schools. Maybe even if you don't have kids, the school you used to go to. I know there's going to be some good competition this year based on what I've been seeing with the track and training. So I just want to mention that. Reminder, tomorrow into primary for 2 days, Thursday and Friday. I will surely be there tomorrow, so I look forward to seeing everybody in the country trying to take a little time off to show some support for the kids.
Okay, and that location again, the venue?
Yes, at the Truman Bodden Sports Complex.
Okay, starting at what time?
I don't have the exact time, but I will definitely get it to you before the end of the show. That way you can let everybody know.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Bryan. Thank you. One of our listeners has written in and said, "Good morning. I strongly encourage government to shut down all entry points now, with the only exception being food containers. Panama has over 4,000 potential infections and Italy is under military rule. We do not have enough artificial respirators to support 50 people with severe pneumonia if it comes down to it. Money is only money. #save lives." I will now ask my guest, none other than MLA Mr. Ezra Miller, to respond to that. Good morning, Mr. Miller. Welcome to For the Record. What say ye about shutting it down?
Well, one of the things that we need to make sure we don't do is panic too much about this coronavirus. I don't know that shutting down the country and no flights coming in and only allowing cargo, as the person suggested, to come in is necessary at this stage in time. I believe that what is being done by the Public Health Department at the airport, where they're handing out leaflets, and if they suspect somebody, they're taking them for more in symptomatic diagnosis, so to speak. And if you have the symptoms, the government issued some immigration regulations yesterday, I think. I don't know if you got a copy of them or not.
No,
which, again, I'm wondering if they're not a little bit draconian at this stage.
Okay.
Because it's particularly related to Caymanians. And because if we allow, what are we going to do? Not allowing a tourist to come to the island for the next 6, 8, 9 months. But my concerns about this is it says for Caymanians, and this persons in the islands traveling to or from an infected country within a period of 14 days or less, where a Caymanian resident of the islands who, at the date of commencement of these regulations, is in the islands and travel to, from, or through an infected country within a period of 14 days or less immediately preceding the person's arrival in the islands, or B, a Caymanian or resident of the islands who, at the date of commencement of these regulations, had traveled from or through an infected country within a period of 14 days or less immediately preceding the person's plan to travel to the islands, the person shall
obligatory.
For a period of 14 days of the departure of the person from the infected country, remain when in the islands, in the case of a Caymanian or resident specified in paragraph B, for the purposes of surveillance by the medical officer of health at the person's home or such other place of quarantine as specified by the medical officer of health and subject to such conditions as are provided by the medical officer of health. When a tourist visitor in the islands who, at the date of commencement of these regulations, is in the islands and has traveled to, from, or through an infected country within a period of 14 days or less immediately preceding the tourist visitor's arrival in the islands, the tourist shall, for the purposes of surveillance by the Chief Medical Officer, be quarantined in a facility specified by the Medical Officer of Health. Will be expressed that persons shall be managed under the direction of the Medical Officer of Health and shall be quarantined at a quarantine facility specified by the Medical Officer of Health for a period of up to 14 days or until the Medical Officer of Health determines that the person is fully recovered from the thing. Now, I think that in order for that to correspond with what is being sent out by the Health Services Department, which says, do you have flu symptoms and have traveled in the past 2 weeks, please stay home and contact the Public Health Department at 345-244-2621 or flu@hsa.ky. Mm-hmm. Now, you see, I think if the regulation said may, or if you have symptoms, you shall.
Yes.
Right? If it, either one of the two things, it should say if you have flu-like symptoms, you shall be confined. Mm-hmm. But for people who have no thing, have only passed through Miami Airport, for instance, coming from an area that is not infected, I think to say that the person can go to work.
Can you read that part again? The first part that speaks to that. The
actual
the regulation. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because somebody sent it to me me last night,
okay.
And
yeah.
Right.
Okay. He's got it. Mm-hmm.
Right, and it says this was issued, I guess, yesterday. Mm-hmm. It is entitled "Tourist," and it defines a tourist visitor, mm-hmm. has the meaning signed by Section 2 of the immigration law. And yesterday afternoon, I had people calling me and saying, "Listen, we're having planning meetings for continuation of service. Something has come out from SEMA saying that any of our people who travel, when they come back, they have to self-quarantine for 14 days. And I called the HSA, right? And HSA sent me that picture of what they're saying if you have flu-like symptoms. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, to me, that makes a lot more sense. Yes. Because, I mean, we could have a major problem with work and continued service in Cayman if every employee who has come back or is overseas now and come back and has to self-quarantine for 14 days, whether they have symptoms or not.
Yeah. And then if you've traveled to the United States is comprised of several states, some of which may not necessarily have it. So when it speaks to if you have traveled to any country, you may have traveled to the United States, but no state that has...
And even just passing through the country.
Yes, yeah.
Right? You know?
Yeah.
I just think...
So you needed a little bit more clarification.
I believe that, well, first of all, I think the problem is that either the HSA got to get their act in compliance with the regulation, mm-hmm. right? Or the regulation should be in compliance with what the health authorities are recommending.
Yes.
And it seems to me that what the health authorities are recommending seems to be make much more sense,
mm-hmm,
you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But, I mean, because we're not, I mean, obviously, again, it doesn't say, that the tourists must have symptoms either, right? So, for instance, are we saying now that every cruise passenger who departed out of Miami or Port Everglades, where they have few, though they may be cases, mm-hmm. cannot come ashore? I think if we have people who are on the ship who have flu-like symptoms, whether or not they have been diagnosed as having the coronavirus, they should not be allowed to disembark, But people who, may have come from Georgia or North Florida, where there's no coronavirus that I am aware of has yet been identified, and have no flu-like symptoms, So I just think that the two things need to be coordinated better.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Time for us to take a commercial break, folks. Please stay tuned. For the record, with MLA Mr. Ezra Miller will continue after this commercial break.
2020 means perfect vision. And if you have your sights set on driving a new hybrid, then the time is now to check out the new RAV4 and CHR. Hold up. Just two of the many hybrid models that Vamped is bringing to Cayman. Whether you're looking for a smoother and quieter way of driving or want a car that maximizes fuel efficiency while minimizing emissions, there are lots of ways a new hybrid from Vamped can make the difference in your life. Hybrids save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries without being plugged in. So focus your 2020 vision on a new hybrid from Vamped Motors, and we will see you through. Come to Vamped, home of the hybrid, located on Walkers Road.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, formerly known as Professional Pharmacy, would like to thank the Cayman communities for their loyal support these past 18 years. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care. Thorough background checks and follow-up consultations is only the beginning. Your safety is our concern. Our staff are respected healthcare professionals whose job requires careful and precise calculations. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, where we prepare to provide exceptional care. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we care about your health.
Insurance is complicated. Make your life easier and better protected with comprehensive financial solutions from FIS Insurance Brokers, with plans from life, health, property insurance, motor, public liability, and professional liability insurance. Whether you're protecting your family or your business, leave nothing to chance. Understand your options and protect yourself for the future. Speak to your FIS Insurance Broker agent today, located on Shedden Road by MoneyGram, or call 623-5616.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Mr. Ezra Miller. Trusting. Okay, now that's a little bit better that everyone is hearing me. One of our listeners has written in and said, morning, with regards to the regulations that Mr. Miller read, they wanted to know whether or not the employer would be responsible for paying an employee during the period that the person has to self.
But without an amendment or
isolate.
Labor law, you're not, right? And again, you see, those are the kind of things that need to have been addressed in these regulations. If we are going to demand that people stay at home, right, when they are, especially if they don't have any symptoms, right? Then there should be a correspondent regulation to the public, to the labor law, that says for those people who are confined at home, and again, there should be some kind of medical certificate involved, right? For the 14 days you get paid. Well, I mean, most people only get 10 days, right? And we're already 3 months into the year, so I would suspect that some people have used up a portion of that 10 days. So at least you can demand that you be paid for the 10 days, because you can get I would hope that you could get a doctor's certificate to say that the reason you are not coming to work is because this regulation confined you to home, even though you had no symptoms, The other alternative, of course, is to do what many countries are doing, and that is making arrangements for people so confined to work remotely from home.
From home, yes.
Somebody can do that, but if you're stacking shelves in a supermarket or laying blocks on a construction site, that's kind of hard to do by computer.
Yeah,
but those are the things that you see when we make laws. Oftentimes we forget about the collateral damage, so to speak. But that's a very important question. But you were talking earlier about the 6-day wait on diagnosis. I speak subject to correction, but it was my understanding from the chief medical officer in the briefing that they gave to us on the other side of the house from the government in the Legislative Assembly building, was that they had a machine at the hospital that could do a preliminary identification, right? But they would still be sending off to CAREC for ultimate confirmation. Because if we don't have, if that machine is something that he was hoping that we had and we don't have, then my recommendation is that we get the machine. Or if they're waiting on some test kits or something to go with that machine, then let's get the test kits. Because we should be in a position to make a preliminary diagnosis locally and not just a symptomatic one, because the symptoms are so similar to the regular flu. Of course, the other question that I asked was, what is your inoculation rate of the flu vaccine for the vulnerable population, which is senior citizens?
Yes.
We should be in this country where we have the resources. We should be now making sure that everybody over 16 Cayman gets the flu vaccine for the regular influenza, so that we know if they come down with the symptoms, they're more likely to be the coronavirus because we have already inoculated them against the regular flu vaccine. And, we're not talking here about 100,000 people. We're talking, probably in the region of 4, because a lot of people already gotten, so we may have an outstanding population of 2,000.
Now, how effective is the inoculation after the flu season has started? Because they usually encourage you to get inoculated before, in advance of flu season.
Well, I know I don't subscribe to this thing that there's a rigid flu season. I think people get flu in Cayman all year round, right? I mean, you may say that because of the cooler temperatures, but I mean that's all relative, In Cayman, we're not talking here about Minneapolis, St. Paul, right? So I don't subscribe that there is a definitive flu season. I think that people get influenza in Cayman all year round. There may be months of the year when it is more pronounced and more prevalent. But I still think that we should offer our senior citizens inoculation against the regular flu, so that if they do get symptoms, and particularly if we got to wait 6 days on a diagnosis,
Now, we've heard, especially in the U.S., most recently, even last night, officials talking about those most vulnerable and where you're seeing the higher death rate, which is usually in people, older persons, people in their 80s. Here in the Cayman Islands, because of a small population, because of the various activities that social groups as well as governmental agencies, the interaction with our elderly, we're able to identify them, who they are easily. Should we be doing something specifically for them at this point in time, since they're the more vulnerable or most vulnerable?
Well, I think those are the people that we should be giving priority to for hospitalization and intensive therapy. Because right now we don't have, I am not aware of any specific treatment, any specific antiviral that's being given for this particular purpose. So I would hope that in the final analysis, because again, my recommendation to the government is that we need different levels of confinement, right? And those are the people that, if somebody in their household has it, we need it. What do we do? Do we move the person out of that household? Because many of these households are going to have 2 or more people in that vulnerable environment. And we need to be setting up centers that can cater for people who are simply waiting out the 14 days because they have not been diagnosed. We need to be a level of confinement where people who are not as vulnerable because they don't have the underlying complications and diseases can be quarantined, right? And then we need to deal with our senior citizens and our vulnerable people who have the underlying diseases, and those are the people that I think needs to be going into the medical institutions, whatever spaces are available there, and you know, on where we are now with those, we're fairly limited. I think that information we were given was that they could have 6 at the HSA, which they hope to expand to about 15 based on conversion of the physiotherapy unit or something.
I think that is ongoing now.
Because
yes,
because the other I mean, we're fortunate in that this virus is not airborne transmission, because then we would have a serious problem at the HSA because of centralized air conditioning for all the wards, right? But because it's not airborne, because it has to be done by droplets and some kind of fluids, you can say that we can do certain things in the room with the air condition to prevent it getting out, you know, on the return side, right? But again, we need the areas that if we're modeling some building at a hospital to go up to 15 with a potential population of 3,000-4,000 of vulnerable people, right? That's not a whole lot. You know, and I would hope that the committee that they have identified, you know, because again, the regulation talks about quarantine areas that have been specified by the chief medical officer, right? We haven't heard about what they are or where they are, you know. Are they looking to use the civic centers as areas that could confine people who don't have symptoms of the disease but had exposure? You know, I don't know. My concern is that I think we need more than one level of confinement, and I think the public, the committee, needs to come out and tell the public how we're going to adjust those things.
Okay. We have one caller, and then we'll go to the commercial break. 2 callers, and we'll take one, then go to commercial break and take the other one. At some point in time, I want to talk about also health care workers in the Cayman Islands who take care of the elderly. What needs to be done, you know, for them? How do they need to be instructed? They will have to be quarantined as well. We also know that they are some of the lowest paid workers in the Cayman Islands, and what needs to be done to incentivize them and to compensate them for the inconveniences that they will have to endure as a result as well. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning to Mr. Connor and good morning to Mr. Miller and to the audience. I have been listening your program, and could you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go right ahead, sir. We're hearing you loud and clear.
I have been listening to your program, and this is a very important issue. As the Premier remarked last night, it's a matter of national threat.
Yes.
And I was worried because from the medical point of view, but most from the epidemiological point of view, is my opinion, with a reasonable degree of certainty, that we have missed some points, and I think that even when they are saying that we don't have any confirmed case, and I reiterate confirmed case of coronavirus, potentially we could have people in the island that already has the virus, because what happened, and let me elaborate a little bit about that. I know your time is of essence, but this is important to get this message to you, Mr. Connor.
Go right ahead. We're going to give you some time, because you sound as if you know what you're talking about, sir.
Okay, yes, sure. First and foremost, let's be clear that coronavirus, we have 4 groups. We have Alpha, we have Beta, we have Delta, and we have Gamma. Are no news to the medical community and to the population of the world. From the 60s, we have coronavirus going on in every country with the epidemic of what we call seasonal flu. Okay, so this coronavirus but appeared in China, specifically in Wuhan, and they reported to the World Health Organization and to the rest of the world on December, at the end of December 2019, has the same morphology. It looks the same as any coronavirus that we have in a common flu, and the only thing that he has a modified or different genetic information that make it to be highly contagious. Normally, other flu spread typically by coughing and by sneezing. And let me be clear: when the people cough or people sneeze, it can reach 3 meters. 3 meters, not 3 feet. 3 meters long, and in those droplets that we call flooded drops, medically speaking, flooded drops, these droplets carry the virus and people get it. But this particularly one, and many people from the scientific and medical and epidemiology community have been down to Wuhan, and people from the WHO, and they noticed that most of the cases, the vast majority, have a mild to moderate flu. It's like a flu, but this flu starts in the nose, with a burning nose, with a stuffy nose, and goes down direct to the throat and gets the sensation of sore throat, burning throat, and then in the most severe case, it tracks down to the bronchi and to the tracheal, what you call in English a windpipe, and this is when the things start to complicate. So many people, and we have right now, I have been to the hospital, to the HSA, to the flu clinics, and I saw last week, and I saw this week, 40 cases in a day. So we are dealing with an epidemic of less cold flu. They are saying it's a common flu, but we are highly interconnected. And let me be clear, when the thing appeared in Wuhan, the Chinese authorities, who are a communist country and military authority, they have no respect for human rights and so on. They took down the country and they quarantine the people and they produce medicine, they produce equipment, they produce everything, and they were haunted the belief that with this they will control. But what happened, Mr. Osea and Mr. Miller? People apparently healthy, remember, in medical classification, in the diagnostic of population that is not done yet in the Cayman Islands. Diagnostic, not a flu. Whole diagnostic of population. You never said healthy. You said apparently healthy. And then you classify people with acute disease, people with chronic disease in different groups from the number 1 to number 4. So what happened? Many people apparently healthy were traveling before the onset of the epidemic, and those people were apparently healthy carriers, and this is the reason that we have seen community cases that appear in San Francisco, that appear in other parts of the world, and they wisely and scientifically, the Center for Disease Control said, hey, we have community transmission, and let me emphasize, so Cayman Island is highly interconnected, and as of last week, we were not in full swing dealing with the epidemic, which is now a pandemic, because we have over 120,000 people sick of this flu called coronavirus or called SARS, because they giving the right name. This week, the World Health Organization giving the right name, SARS, severe acute respiratory syndrome, because it is a severe acute respiratory syndrome and potentially lethal. And then they call COVID-2. Why 2? Because COVID-1, which is one of the coronavirus of the beta group, is from the beta group, and for this one is from the family of group 19, B19, was causing the SARS that we experienced in the world in 2012. So now we are having this that's recently called SARS-CoV-2. So we, to get straight to the point, we potentially being interconnected and open, receiving 5, 4, 6 sometimes cruise ship in the way, 20,000 passengers, 14,000 passengers. So how we will say, scientifically proven, and 100% medicine and epidemiology are biology science, so are not like a math, exact science. 2 by 2 is not 40 medicine. It's a science of probability. How we will say that we didn't get any apparently healthy person that came into the island and was apparently healthy and bring the virus. There are people that have no symptoms and they spread the virus. And in addition, one point that I reached last week with the politician, and I approached to Al Basuco, and I discussed with him last Monday, and I discussed with the school, with Clifton Hunter High School, with the teachers and the in authority, and with the nurse Isaac. It's the point that students get on break. When the students get on break, that was normally 10 days counting the weekends, and they came back to the school on the 2nd of March. During this break, the situation changed dramatically in the world, and the geographically affected areas changed dramatically, and it gets to this hemisphere, to the USA, it gets to Ecuador, it gets to Brazil, it gets to Cuba. Even when Cuba is denying, we know sources that they have cases, but they have the control, like China, and they have the Tropical Disease Center, and they have the means to do the test and everything. So, for political reasons, they keep saying no. But to Cuba now, people coming from Cuba, they spread it in Panama. Look how Panama has many cases right now.
Caller, I want to thank you very much, for that. You've passed on some valuable information to us. Unfortunately, we've gone way beyond our break, but I really, really want to thank you for your contribution, folks. We have to take a commercial break now. We still have a few callers on hold as well. Hang in there. We have a few minutes before we go to our headline news that we will take your calls as well. Please stay tuned.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
I have various items coming from different suppliers that I need to ship to Cayman. Do you offer consolidation?
Yes, Seaboard Marine offers consolidation for full and less than container loads. We can hold your packages at our Miami warehouse until everything arrives and ship it all in one go. And we have the best rates to Grand Cayman. Visit seaboardmarine.com for more information.
Shipping shore to shore,
We all know there's nothing more refreshing than the taste of an ice-cold Coca-Cola straight from the cooler.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling.
Whether it's celebrating a birthday, promotion, or just a great meal, make each moment a Coca-Cola moment.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling.
Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Make sure you ask for the unforgettable flavor of a classic Coca-Cola.
The Spring 2020 Labor Force Survey is currently being conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office. The Labor Force Survey collects data on employed and unemployed persons. Trained interviewers with ESO ID cards will visit randomly selected households in all districts. The interviews are confidential in accordance with the statistics law. No individual data will be published or disclosed. Survey data are exempt from freedom of information. For more details, please call the ESO hotline at 516-3329.
Members of the public are invited to attend community meetings this week to discuss the coronavirus preparation. Thursday, 12 March at 7 p.m. at the Civic Center in Bodden Town, hosted by the Minister of Health, the Honorable Dwayne Seymour, Honorable Premier Alden McLaughlin, with Ministry of Health and Public Health officials, as well as other key stakeholders. The meetings will also be broadcast live on Radio Cayman. Again, members of the public, you are invited to attend community meetings this week to discuss COVID-19 preparations in the Cayman Islands. Thursday, 12 March at 7 p.m. at the Civic Center in Bodden Town.
Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have no callers now. Hopefully those callers will call back. Mr. Miller, over to you, sir.
I just got a call from a very reliable source at the HSA,
yes.
confirming they have a machine that can do the testing locally. They are waiting on some reagents, which should arrive tomorrow. But from Monday on, they'll be able to identify it as a preliminary diagnosis in 24 hours.
Okay.
Which is good. They must be congratulated for that. That's good.
So, and what do you mean, as a preliminary diagnosis?
They'll be able to confirm whether it's coronavirus. They'll just send it off afterwards.
Yes.
So just for reconfirmation. But I'm sure that what they will do then is the treatment regime and the confinement and stuff will they'll be able to tell you within 24 hours.
Excellent. That is good to know, and
Absolutely.
I'm glad that we got such a quick response to that as well, which goes to show that attending those public meetings that are taking place is very important.
Oh, yeah. And by the way,
you
I
get
need
information from
I need to announce that the public meeting for Northside is going to be next Tuesday the 17th in the Cradock Bank Civic Center at 8 p.m.
Okay.
And we've sent out the stuff to all of the district council people and the churches, and so they can put it in their bulletin boards for Sunday and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll have a good turnout.
Excellent. We have a caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
And good morning, Mr. Miller.
Good morning.
I just tuned into you guys, and I heard a little piece of the gentleman just now, and I didn't fully understood him to a degree, no disrespect, but I heard when he mentioned the cruise ship. I understand that part. I just want to say that, it's great to have these meetings, but it is sad to know that we got so many cruise ships coming in at one time, practically every day of the week, and I know I have spoken to visitors and asked them, what they're doing for them before they enter the ship. They're checking their temperature before they can enter the ship. But I just want to say, Cayman is so small, and if anything breaks out here to the max that we don't have sufficient beds and attention at hospitals and so forth, why ain't we determined now what to do in regards to these cruise ships that's coming here? Mr. Miller, I'm not going to get trapped and set up for this. I don't care. We're going to have to survive one way or the other. But I feel that we need to take a break from these cruise ships until this thing gets under better control. Airport, you can monitor them, I would say, a whole lot better than you can monitor 6 and 7 cruise ships in our port on a daily basis. And I just really feel like we're not really taking this serious to an extent. We're not realizing the amount of people who's dying, regardless if they're old and they was already in a sick level and they got it and it actually took them out, which is sad. But the fact of the matter is we have nowhere to go if anything happen here. And if 10 get infected, the schools are closed down, the jobs is closed down. I mean, the whole island's probably shut down to an extent, and I really truly believe the government need to look in these cruise ships and give them a break. It's going to hurt the finance here in Cayman, but I'd rather be well and healthy, and my family and my people on this island, than to have a bag of money and I'm homesick. Do you understand? So what the government planning doing with these cruise ships, I don't know, but we need to get serious about it. Do not depend on America to tell us they are safe.
Okay.
Do not
Go ahead.
Do not depend on America. And just checking temperature something, I don't think it's sufficient. Because apparently I had a group and not all there was checked the temperature in the group. You understand? So some people is getting bypassed. And they will, because it is a time consuming trying to check those 6 boats that is coming to Cayman and checking all those people before they arrive into the Cayman water, regardless of where they're coming from. If they go to Jamaica, are they checked when they leave Jamaica? When they leave Cayman, are they checked when they go back to Miami? I don't know that. But I really think, Mr. Miller, we really need to get serious about this situation. You know what the elder man told me yesterday? He said, as soon as it gets a bit warmer, it will die down.
Sound like Trump.
How long is that? What kind of warmness you looking for and when the warmness is coming? I don't know. But we need to get serious about these cruise ships. And I don't want to hear that we should have did better. It's too late. It's too late. I just thank you guys for giving me that time.
Thank you very much.
Rise up my anxiety here this morning.
Thank you very much, caller, for that. Top of the hour, headline news at 9 o'clock. When we return, the conversation will continue with Mr. Miller, and we will take your calls as well. So please stay tuned. For the Record, we'll be back shortly.
Community radio with a different appeal. The voice of the people. Security through adversity. Stuck on you. Radio for all time.
You're listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have here on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
For today's biggest news.
Access.
local, regional, international, this is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
Government officials have wrapped up their 8 a.m. operational meeting on the situation at the Georgetown landfill. Fire service and Department of Environmental Health crews have been on site and remained there this morning fighting the fire, which broke out over the weekend. Georgetown Primary School and the transitional unit housed at the school have reopened to children today. The number of cases in Europe of the coronavirus COVID-19 continues to rise, with more than 10,000 in Italy. German Chancellor Angela Merkel says 60 to 70% of the country's population could become infected. The United Kingdom Health Minister Nadine Doreen is among the 382 cases reported in Britain. In the meantime, the Bank of England has cut interest rates from 0.75% to 0.25% to shore up the economy. And Joe Biden has cemented his position as frontrunner in the Democratic race to take on President Donald Trump in November's White House election. The former vice president won Michigan, the biggest prize of primary voting on Tuesday, extending his lead over Maine rival Senator Bernie Sanders. Mr. Sanders won North Dakota with results from Washington State still outstanding. Those are your headlines. I'm Carsley Fuller.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the Record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, MLA, Mr. Ezra Miller. We're talking about the coronavirus situation here in the Cayman Islands, but certainly prepared to talk about other things as well. But of course, you know Mr. Miller, former Minister for Health, and he's a health professional himself, so no better person to discuss this with. And I think it is something that is topical. It is something that we have to stay on top of. We see the public meetings that are taking place within the community, the government, in their effort to inform, educate, and to advise people, as well. So extremely important. I see here in the Jamaica Gleaner where J. Ray and Nephew has suspended its operations at the Spanish Town Road offices as a precautionary measure since Jamaica reported its first case of coronavirus as well. And if I stand to be corrected, but I believe that J. Ray and Nephew is now owned not, while it is still located in Jamaica, and is a Jamaican entity of sorts, that it is owned by a European company now as well. But again, if you know more about that, certainly call in and let me know as well. Back to you, Mr. Miller.
Yeah, like I say, I'm not suggesting that the government is doing everything perfect, but I'm satisfied that the government is doing enough, and I think they're taking it seriously, and I believe that they're moving in the right direction. Now, there's a couple of things that, for instance, as I said earlier, I think the regulation should represent what the health people are saying, because we don't want to have conflicting messages going out. Mm-hmm. But I believe all in all that I have a certain amount of comfort in that the health professionals in particular are got things under control and are making the necessary plans and provisions. If we do get a lot of cases, they'll be able to handle them.
Now, I did mention earlier care workers, those persons who take care of the elderly. We know that, for instance, the Red Cross has the facility and the ability to train those workers, because in the event, let's say, an elderly person or anyone in a household for that matter, and they have to self-quarantine, the helper and everybody else, you would expect to be self-quarantined as well.
Well, I mean, yeah,
and how do we go about taking care of those persons? How do we go about training them properly to handle these situations as well?
Well, I think that some of them who have limited medical training, if they're caretaker certified. There are programs available in Jamaica and other places that certify these people, so they have a very basic understanding of the medical thing. But again, it would be advantageous, I believe, and I would recommend to the HSA that they develop a procedure leaflet for caretakers, particularly of the elderly, and how they should be treating those environments now, how they should be cleaning the rooms, how they should be disposing of bandages and masks, etc., and what they should be cleaning hard surfaces with, and how they should be cleaning the area and stuff like that, and what precautions they should be taking. I think that would be a very useful exercise, and I'm confident that the medical professionals will in fact do that.
Mm-hmm. Because
I include those in the vulnerable group.
Yes,
because many of those are caretakers are themselves up in age. So some of them are young, but a lot of them are and
because they provide companionship as well to those persons that they're caring for.
And we need to ensure that the people who are employing these caretakers to look after their elderly in particular need to pay special attention and provide those people with the kind of resources that they need, gloves and masks and all those sorts of stuff. If they're not all, they should be doing it routinely, but in this particular case, I think they need to increase it.
Okay. One of our listeners has written in and said, thanking the Premier, Minister Seymour, Mr. Harris, the CMO, and all of the panel at the community meeting last night, and the councillors who attended, Mr. Mark Taggart, Captain Eugene. Well, just want to say Mr. Mark Taggart isn't a councillor. No, but they're just listing all of these. And the councillors who attended, and then they include Mr. Mark Taggart, Captain Eugene, Honourable Juliana O'Connor Connolly. Appreciate them taking the time to make an effort to educate the country with the current facts at hand. Sadly, there is still so much to learn about this virus. Yes, as said, it is new. Not much known concerning matters, border control, restrictions, protection for frontline individuals. They do not have the liberty of recommended 3 to 6 feet when customers approach them through their workday and directly in their face. Protection for the most vulnerable, elderly, pre-existing illnesses, special needs. The quarantine facility for individuals not able to self-isolate in their own homes, around families, around children, not realistic. When the virus is spread onto a surface, it does not seem to be known how long it will survive on surfaces before it is no longer contagious. Very, very, very good.
And I think it's very important that all the political leaders, those who are elected and those who have a voice in the community, all the leaders, all the church leaders and all these need to get involved in promoting people to come out to these educational events, and also to make sure that their parishioners are taking the precautions. And
Okay, we have 2 callers. Let's go back to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, I'm calling about, I heard all kind of stuff on yesterday. I had someone at Eastern Hospital up there with the virus and all kind of stuff off of some cruise ship or something like
that. Those are, to my knowledge, rumors. I think we should listen to what is transmitted officially by the government of the Cayman Islands.
Yeah, officially, there is no confirmed coronavirus in the Cayman Islands at the present time. There are 5 cases that, given their symptoms and other diagnostic tools that the government has used, that they have taken the precaution to send their samples off to be tested in Trinidad. It is my understanding, and again I'm going by, is that the person who is at Health City was not admitted to Health City because they had a respiratory problem. They were admitted because they had a hemorrhaging problem. And so after they got operations and stuff there, they developed some respiratory symptoms. But those respiratory symptoms could well be connected to the exposure of during and stress from the actual operation that they had to undergo to correct the hemorrhaging problem.
Okay.
Anesthesia does strange things to people these days, Make them fight and all that.
Okay. Yeah, but Mr. Miller, one other thing though, I feel strongly in myself that they should have abandoned on the cruise ship unless they have a good testing. Someone should have a good testing system in the island by now, because you got a lot of sailboats passing through here also, and nobody knows where they came from, where they're coming from.
Well, all of the sailboats and other travelers that come in here should be coming with clearance from some other port, right? So we should know where they're coming from. If they're not coming from that, then that raises a whole collection of other suspicions beyond coronavirus and what trades they're into. But I believe that we have to be careful that we don't overreact and create a panic situation. I think the government demonstrated last week that if they have any reason at all to suspect that there is anybody on a cruise ship that is suffering from these symptoms, the cruise ship is not allowed to dock and the passengers are not allowed to come off. Because as I understand, on that ship that the two people came off of, one person was taken directly to the airport and sent out by air ambulance under a very controlled environment. The other person was also to have gone by air ambulance, but because of their particular illness, they were unable to travel, and they had to be fixed before they could travel.
Okay, just to check in because that virus is very, very bad.
Yep.
Well, but not. It is a bad virus. There's no question about that. But it is not a completely new virus. This is a mutation of a virus that has been around for a long time. Mm-hmm. That is why the CDC in the States, having been dealing with the coronavirus and the various mutations that over the years, could so quickly develop a test kit specifically for this virus, and they are trying to fast track vaccines and everything else. So.
And call again, we encourage you to listen to the news,
yes,
especially coming from Radio Cayman, because you're going to get the official government news coming from us here at Radio Cayman. Definitely. Thank you very much, caller, for that. Let's grab the other caller before we go to commercial break. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Very thankful and highly blessed. Good morning, Mr. Miller.
Good morning.
Okay. I want to make sure that I understood this part of it. I understood it, but I want to hear it from you that was there. Miss Lizette Yearwood said that she had that at the HSA there is masks ready for people that go into the clinics. Did she say that?
Well, no, they're not. If they suspect people, and if you have a respiratory, I think they'll be giving you a mask. But it's pointless of you who has no symptoms at all wearing a mask.
Yes, I understand that too. But listen good now.
Uh-huh.
I was thinking about this from like 2 weeks ago, because I've been up there for the 2 weeks. I've been up there one time each week, and in the pharmacy, people just come in there coughing. Okay, in the pharmacy now,
mm-hmm.
And no mask. So another thing now about the buses. Coming down one time now, I think it was the last time still. Yes, it was the last time. I'd like to say, I think, I know. Coming down there now, there was this foreign man, okay, a white man.
Right.
Don't know whether he was from a ship or whatever. He was in here for as a steward or whatever. But he was behind me, and he made his big cough. So I think that the bus people should also have masks and say to people, "You coughing? Take this foot and put it on."
Yes, that would be. I think that would be helpful. But I think one of the things that was happening at the hospital was they provided the mask at the door, like going in if you were coughing, and people were just taking them because they were available, and they were just, you know.
I understand that.
Right.
Okay, cause you know that I got good understanding, right?
Oh, I know that.
I like that. Rambo say he not understand, he overstanding. Okay?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, caller. Time for us to take another commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
We all know there's nothing more refreshing than the taste of an ice-cold Coca-Cola straight from the cooler.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling.
Whether you're celebrating a birthday, promotion, or just a great meal, make each moment a Coca-Cola moment.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling.
Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Make sure you ask for the unforgettable flavor of a classic Coca-Cola.
The Cayman Islands Seafarers Association wishes to inform all members that there will be a March social on Tuesday, the 17th of March at 7 p.m. in the Seafarers Hall, 11 Victory Avenue in Prospect. 3 buses will leave from West Bay Town Hall at 6 p.m. The Barnes bus route in Georgetown leaves the public library parking area at 6:30, stopping at the Cayman Compass Building and Airport Fosters. The bus marked Bobo $1 public transport and is blue in color will do pickups from British Caymanian, Uncle Bill's, Walker's Road, Shedden Road, and Crew Road. The bus from East End will do pickups from the school parking lot, gas station, and the Wreck of the 10 sales starting at 5:45 p.m. The Northside pickups will be at the Chisholm store and the soccer field starting at 6:15 p.m. The Boddentown pickups are at Lorna's gas station at 6:45, and the Savannah pickups are at the gas station at 7 p.m.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, MLA Mr. Ezra Miller. He has to leave us at around about 9:30. Do we still have a caller on hold, Miss Susan? No callers at all. One caller seemed to echo similar sentiments that you had, Mr. Miller, and it reads, wonder if they could consider using some of the civic centers for isolation centers or even for screening patients.
Well, I mean, I would agree that first level, if there is, for instance, if there is elderly people in a house and there's 1 or 2 younger people in the house, right? Rather than take the elderly people out and confine them to a civic center if they're not sick enough to go to a medical facility, right? Then my recommendation would be that they take the younger persons who are more mobile, more agile, put them in the civic centers for that incubation period of 14 days, you know? But I feel, and when I made a suggestion when we met last week, and I think that they were actively looking at it.
Okay, and one of our listeners has written and said, good morning. Would it not be better to quarantine persons at the civic center? Saying the same thing again. There will be much more spread with people doing self-quarantine at home. This is a bad move for such a small country. This leads to another question. At what point would we, as a country, go on quote-unquote lockdown? Would it be after 50 cases, 200 cases, 1,000 cases, etc.? Look at how quickly it's spreading in larger countries. We are too small for self-quarantine.
But I think the fact that we're small, gives us some advantages and may in fact reduce the spread than we have in these high population areas where you almost can't walk down the street unless you're within that 3 foot. At least here in Cayman, you can get the space, right? It's almost impossible to get that space in New York City, for instance, walking down the street, So I think that, listen, we have to be concerned.
Yes.
We must listen to the advice of the healthcare professionals. We must continue to monitor what's going on worldwide so that we can, if we have travel plans, we can adjust them is necessary. I don't know that we should be contemplating a lockdown of the Cayman Islands at this point, because we don't. It's almost. I think it is not a question of if the coronavirus is going to come to Cayman. I think it is when and how prepared we are to deal with it when we get it, and I believe that we have to put a certain amount of trust in our healthcare professionals, right? And that they will deal with it. This is not our first rodeo. We've dealt with these kinds of things before. We've dealt with dengue fever on a regular basis. We've dealt with the N1H1 a couple of years ago. We dealt with the SARS, which did not become as large a pandemic as this coronavirus is. But again, I think that we have to use common sense. And one of the things that we need to do, though, as parents, is when we're talking about washing your hands now, we're not talking about passing your hand under the faucet and wetting it, right? There's a particular way to wash your hands that we need to teach to our children and other people. You need to wash between the fingers, that there should be a sufficient amount of soap on your hands. You need to scratch the palms of your hands with your fingernails so you're clean under your fingernails. They were talking about a medical washing of hands, right? Which is going to take a couple of minutes to do properly. It's not just passing it under,
Yes.
So those are the kind of things that we need to get into the schools, for instance, and see that the children there are using proper technique, and hopefully we already have the sanitizing agents, which must be more than 60% alcohol to be effective, available for the students and stuff.
Okay, we have 2 callers. I'm going to just say to the callers, try to be as brief as possible. Mr. Miller is going to leave us at 9:30.
Yeah.
So if your comments are addressed to him, you need to do it fairly quickly.
I have one Cinderella shoes this morning. If I'm not here by 9:30, my feet are going to cramp.
Okay, first caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yeah, good morning again, Mr.
Good morning again, ma'am.
Yeah. You just had an email reading there or WhatsApp, whatever it was. Let me tell you something. Whoever put that together, I applaud them 100% more. But I guess, Mr. Miller, I understand that we have someone up at the East End Hospital. And have you ever found out yet what that person is really sick of?
Yeah, I don't know the person. Again, and I don't know the medical history. I'm not involved treating the person. But it is my understanding that there is no confirmed coronavirus at Cheddar Hospital. The patient was not admitted to Cheddar Hospital because they were suspected of having coronavirus. They were suspected there because they had a hemorrhaging problem which prevented them from leaving the island the same day they came off the cruise ship under controlled circumstances by air ambulance. After the person came out of anesthesia, they developed some respiratory symptoms, which is not uncommon from that kind of thing, and out of a precaution, they have sent their samples off to be tested.
And caller, again, we urge everyone to please listen to what the government is telling you, what the government puts out there. Please listen to that.
Mr. Miller, when the cruise ship comes in and they have a sick person on their boat, to take them to the hospitals here in the Cayman Islands, not just because what's happening right now. Do you think that is right if someone come on the cruise ship with what's happening right now and that person has a temperature? Do you think it is right to bring that person off of that cruise ship onto our island and take it to the hospital?
But temperature is not, but temperature is not the only measure of coronavirus. If we say that everybody if we can put a thermometer in the dark or one of these sensitive things, and nobody that has any temperature at all can't come short, I don't know that is effective medically. All they have to do is take a Panadol tablet a half hour before they leave the ship, and you can get a wrong temperature reading.
Okay.
Exactly. So why they making it a temperature situation to board the people?
Okay.
But they are not.
Caller, we're going to take another caller because this is your second call, and we still have two callers that we want to catch Mr. Miller before he leaves. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's Alice Snakewood.
Good morning, Ms. Coe.
I'll be very quick. I haven't on the program, so perhaps this has already been suggested. I know.
We're getting an echo from you. We're getting an echo. Hello, caller?
Is that better?
Yes, ma'am. Much better.
Yes, thank you. I said maybe this has already been suggested, but I gather that last night and they were having community meetings, inviting people to come out and hear all about it.
Mm-hmm.
We have the government television station. Why are we not using that? The older people and many others would be able to sit down and listen to these programs, watch these programs, and it should be a 24/7 basis, that every time you turn on the TV, you'd be kept updated with what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then there'd be no risk of contamination and spreading any kind of coughs or colds or anything.
I think that...
and also Radio Cayman is carrying
it was
those
broadcast live on Radio
well.
Cayman, and I can tell you that when they come to North Side, it's going to be live stream. We do that with all our public meetings these days.
Yes, but I just think as a general rule...
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think it's a good idea. But it's my understanding that is supposed to be happening.
Okay.
That was part of what we
wonderful.
were told. Yes.
I think we must make more use of CIG TV for everything.
The problem is that unless you have one of the subscribed carriers, not everybody carries it, and unless you have one of those paying for a subscription, you don't get CIG TV.
Flow now carries it too, you know.
Oh, yeah, I know they do, yeah.
Yes. Anyway, it would be helpful for those
Certainly.
who are not able to get it.
Yes, I
God
agree.
bless, and
Thank you very much. Good suggestion. Last caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record, Mr. Miller. He has his shoes and his socks on, so you got to be very quickly. Good morning.
I have it's Shirley here from the Cayman Brac. I have nobody calling in from Cayman Brac. Good morning to both of y'all.
Morning.
Our little island is so small, and so is little Cayman, that they're telling people not to travel or take a cruise. So my idea is that why do people take a cruise and try to infect our little islands here? And on top of that, we have a very small hospital here, and we have good doctors here, but I don't ever hear anybody saying our doctors are overworked over here on Cayman Brac. So God forbid that we had something like that get in here. But I think that the tourists should stay away.
Okay.
That the cruise ships, they should stay away from the islands, and even some of the tourists that might be flying. I mean, we just don't need.
No, I think that anybody that has any of the symptoms should not be allowed in. I agree with you entirely.
Yes.
Yeah, well, they might come in today and then be sick tomorrow. You never know.
And we may already have it here, and all of that prohibition of entry don't help in the long run. So.
Yeah. And what I'm going to do, caller, also, I know that the Caribbean countries, Jamaica and others, have developed protocols with the cruise lines after the incidents last few days, and we have as well. And we will try to look at those protocols, see if they're sufficient or if we need to go further, like some of the callers, including yourself, have suggested in terms of the cruise lines themselves. Thank you very much. Mr. Miller?
Yeah, I apologize.
That's okay.
I'm sorry I got you late, but I left home at 5 minutes to 6, and it took me 2 hours and 15 minutes to get here from North Side, and that's a lot of diesel gasoline brought up as well. But I hope that we have shared some and I'm always available on 327-5757 to pass on any other information I get from the government.
And thank you very much, for sharing your knowledge and your expertise in the area as well.
But I think that, and I want to reassure that I personally have a certain level of comfort in what the medical professions are doing to deal not only with what's already here, but with the threat. And I also believe that they will have in place contingency plans if it gets out of hand. So I think that there's no point at this time to enter into the panic mode.
Thank you very much. We have a few callers on hold. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, For the Record, we'll continue Sin in Espanol or minus Mr. Miller. So please stay tuned. For the Record, we'll be back shortly.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Sending money to your family overseas shouldn't be a full-day process. Stop waiting in lines. MoneyGram, the safest and most convenient way to send money worldwide, offering 3 convenient locations: Shedden Road, Baden Water Sports in West Bay, and at FIS Brack Agency in Cayman Brack. MoneyGram by Financial Integrated Services. Visit fiscayman.com for more information on MoneyGram services. MoneyGram, bringing you closer. 2020 means perfect vision. And if you have your sights set on driving a new hybrid, then the time is now to check out the new RAV4 and CHR.
Hold up.
Just 2 of the many hybrid models that Vamped is bringing to Cayman. Whether you're looking for a smoother and quieter way of driving or want a car that maximizes fuel efficiency while minimizing emissions, there are lots of ways a new hybrid from Vamped can make the difference in your life. Hybrids save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries without being plugged in. So focus your 2020 vision on a new hybrid from Vamped Motors, and we will see you through. Come to Vamped, home of the hybrid, located on Walkers Road.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the Record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Mr. Miller has left us. And again, want to thank him very much for the information that he was able to impart to our listening and viewing audience this morning. We're going back to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Rambo. How are you?
I'm associated. Good man, can't complain. I'm associated with this coronavirus now, right?
Uh-huh.
You're aware of the ratio. How is the numbers, right?
Yes.
The development expressing globally. Right?
Yes.
And the whole element, the key is proper monitoring.
Yes.
Right. And obviously, right, I heard Mr. Allen talk about it last night. Right. And obviously, it's inevitable. Right. How it spread out or excluded rather than radiated. Right.
Mm-hmm.
However, right, it got take months to be embedded or eradicated now.
Right? Yes.
And
it may even take years before they come up with a vaccine or whatever for it as well. Yeah.
Vaccine. Yeah, exactly. And as a month earlier, the release of it. But like I said again, now, right, the worst scenario is an economic shutdown, right? And prepared to be activated. Because it's a risk.
Mm-hmm.
That is reality check, but not possible.
Yes.
That's in the limelight. Now we go. And like I say, Mr. O.C., time and time again, this hazmat suit, you need that at the airport, seaport. You don't know who have what. You probably hear now too.
Yeah.
You don't know. I mean, but like I say, Mr. O.C., I'm not panicking or frightened, but it's a reality.
Mm-hmm.
It's a phase. So.
But do you think that wearing hazmat suits at this case, even though there are no cases of it, do you think that might be an overreaction and may scare people a little bit?
Not really, sir. Not really, but it's precaution.
Mm-hmm.
Precaution. Like, say, for instance, now, like, they have certain visitors, you know, where they have, like, I wasn't there now, but they should be have the personnel they should be suited up with a hazmat suit. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They come out to the house, who will spread that? Right? It's a dominant factor.
Yes.
So for the start, from the get-go, I told Sterling out, I told you, when the governor on, and you had the Minister of Health and the guys, the fellas, that should be in place from the get-go. We didn't told that.
Yes.
You transport people, right? You come to other public places, you don't know. You understand? Spend a cure.
Got you.
Have a good day, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Rambo, for that. And I just want to say to Rambo that so many of our listeners have expressed their views about the Rambo and what he adds to the discussion as well. Very observant, obviously follows the news, reads a lot as well, and we certainly appreciate when we do hear from Rambo. I think we have another caller, Miss Susan. Good morning, caller. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC, and I would add a little bit to that. The only thing sometimes I don't understand him because of he's talking so fast. But is he from West Bay?
I'm not sure where he's from. Not sure. He's Caymanian.
Definitely. Oh yeah, definitely. But he does add a lot.
Yes, he does.
He
really
does add a lot. But anyway, I'm so sad that Mr. Miller has left us for a time being. But I mean the radio station. I don't want anybody to get anything wrong here now. OC, I am still very, very, very concerned of the way that the restaurants on the 7 Mile Strip, especially. Sunday afternoon, we were at a restaurant on the 7 Mile Strip. And make I tell you, OC, in the bathroom, they didn't even have paper to clean the hands. When are we going to have people to check these restaurants and stuff? I carries around. I have always done it. My friend Marcy always do it. Friend Carla always do it. Carry around wipes in our bags, and sometimes extra tissues and stuff. Some people came in there and the lady went straight to the bathroom, and she came back out and she said, Lord have mercy, they didn't even have paper towel or anything to wipe your hands. And the husband laughed and said, what did you wipe your hands in? She said, half of the toilet roll. And I had to laugh at that. But it's too careless. It is really too careless. Like you said before, not to frighten the people, but let them be more cautious. They're dealing with human beings. They're dealing with food. They're dealing with not only the residents of this island, but they're dealing with tourists, and it's too careless. Is it any way possible that tourism department, health department can check these places to see that they have sufficient things like wipes and enough soap and that kind of thing? And the restaurant was busy. Can you imagine? I get so frustrated about these kind of things because this thing is not a joke. Like we don't want to frighten people, but then somebody has to take more precaution of these things, and it starts with the restaurants and the hotels and the people that is dealing with the tourists that are coming in this island. And I must agree with Jan about the cruise ships. We're not going to starve to death because they're not coming in for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or even a month. Are we going to just let money get the best of us and then end up with a whole island of very sick people and things like that? It's disgusting, and I wish that somebody would take these restaurants, supermarkets too, make I tell you, in hand and says, you got to have this stuff provided for your customers. Now, I'm happy to know that Mr. Ezard was there, and I need to ask another question, and then I'm going to get off. OC, did he say what time his meeting was going to be next week, Tuesday? What time?
No, but we can certainly get that information. I'm sure that the GIS would have put out a schedule for all of the districts, so we'll try to see if we can find that for you for North Side.
Okay, because
I think Radio Cayman has something, and we will play. We will.
I know that.
Repeat that. The 17th.
I definitely know that, especially my telephone friend named Susan.
We know that it's on the 17th. It's probably at 7 o'clock, but we'll.
Yeah, because we're not hearing anything about the second largest district in the Cayman Islands, the West Bay. What our people are doing. We're not hearing nothing. And down here, we have so many people walking the streets, sleeping on the West Bay Public Beach and stuff like that. We're not hearing anything about what we're going to do with the mental people and that kind of stuff. We need to know. That's what's doing half a Cayman. Stress, because we do not know. And we do not know the right thing. You get what I mean? Stress can do all kinds of things to you. If we knew what was going on, you know, and we got politicians that can tell us what's going on. Not only Mr. Miller that can always make the time. God bless him. I hope he continue to give him a strength and guidance. Okay, OC, and you too. God bless you, Susan, Radio Cayman. Thanks for everything. Good morning to you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, and you have a great day also. Do we have time for another? We have another caller? No callers. Let's take the commercial break now, Miss Susan, and then we can come back a little bit early for the last 15 minutes of the show, folks. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Insurance is complicated. Make your life easier and better protected with comprehensive financial solutions from FIS Insurance Brokers, with plans from life, health, property insurance, motor, public liability, and professional liability insurance. Whether you're protecting your family or your business, leave nothing to chance. Understand your options and protect yourself for the future. Speak to your FIS Insurance Broker agent today, located on Shedden Road by MoneyGram, or call 623-5616. Preventing dengue is as simple as preventing mosquito bites. Use a mosquito repellent, wear protective clothing, and stay indoors during early dawn and dusk when mosquitoes are most active. Control the places around you where mosquitoes breed. Remove stagnant water in outdoor and household settings. As a weekly habit, persons should change the water in vases, clear the water in saucers under potted plants, and ensure air conditioner drip trays are free of stagnant water. Outdoor objects capable of holding water should be kept empty and preferably disposed of or put into dry storage if not used. These include open bottles and tins, watering cans, buckets, empty paint tins, and old vehicle tires. Do your part to control the spread of dengue. The dengue virus is an infectious disease transmitted through mosquito bites. Symptoms may come on as early as 4 days or as late as 3 weeks following an infection. There is no vaccine or specific medication to treat dengue. Symptoms of dengue include high fever, headache, pain behind the eyes, joint and muscle pain, and rash. If persons have any of these symptoms, they should go to the nearest health center or hospital. It is advised to drink lots of liquids and avoid medication that contains aspirin.
Members of the public are invited to attend community meetings this week to discuss the coronavirus preparation. Thursday, 12 March at 7 p.m. at the Civic Center in Bodden Town, hosted by the Minister of Health, the Honorable Dwayne Seymour, Honorable Premier Alden McLaughlin, with Ministry of Health and Public Health officials, as well as other key stakeholders. The meetings will also be broadcast live on Radio Cayman. Again, members of the public, you are invited to attend community meetings this week to discuss COVID-19 preparations in the Cayman Islands. Thursday, 12 March at 7 p.m. at the Civic Center in Bodden Town.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio. Mr. Miller has left us, and again, I want to thank him very much for his contribution this morning as well. One of our listeners has written in and said, is there anything being implemented in the schools? Sorry. Having large hand sanitizer pumps and have children use them each time they enter the classroom? Good question. Don't have an answer for it. But I would say that with the multidisciplinary, multi-agency approach that is being taken by the government, that all of these things are being taken into consideration. We know that the government, for instance, has allocated an additional $1 million to the Health Services Authority for them to do what they need to do. And in the event that any ministry needs to divert funds that have been budgeted, allocated, there is the ability for them to do so, and basically to advise the Finance Committee in the legislature at a later time. But I don't believe that at this point in time funding is an issue, and I believe that the government will not in any way shirk from spending the necessary funds to ensure that the population of the Cayman Islands is protected. We have two callers. Let's go to the phone lines. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm pretty well. First time I'm actually calling in a show, but I would just like to check and see. I know we have a lack of cruise ships coming in due to policies being implemented for them to avoid bringing contaminated or sick people to the island. What is the government actually doing for the airline industry in bringing people in?
Okay, good question. Continue, please.
No, that's my question.
That's your question. What is the government doing in relation to the airlines? Okay. I don't have the full answers, for you on that. And again, I would encourage you to attend one of the district meetings. You go on the hazard management website to see what is there. At this point in time, other than the monitoring that is being done at the ports of entry, including the airport, where you have health officials there and passing out information in relation to it. I think the government is being very proactive. Nothing has been done yet in terms of restricting flights from any countries in the Cayman Islands, and whether I don't believe that it is necessary at this point in time, as well. Let's grab the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. O.C. Good morning to all our listeners. How are you doing, sir?
Good morning, sir. I'm fine. How are you?
Yes, it's okay. I just want to let the public know that I'm passing on my deepest sympathy and condolences on the passing of Mr. Andreas Oglan, and we'll have him remembered today at around lunchtime by a Norwegian ore carrier passing to the north of Cayman Brac to do a 10-long blast horn salute in tribute of this great Andreas Oglan.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, and one other thing, Mr. O.C.
Uh-huh.
Yes, about I'm in the field or in the mind of saving trees, preserving trees, and just to announce on Cayman Brac that this morning I will be taking down one of the tallest coconut trees on Cayman Brac for a building site. And if anyone on Cayman Brac is interested in a tall coconut tree, to contact Raymond. I will be at the Northeast Bay location, just to the northeast from the Heritage House. It's a house site, got to go there, a house going there, and this tree is like right in the middle part of where the house have to go. And if anyone is interested in this tree, to come there to the site or otherwise.
So the owner of the property isn't interested in relocating it on their property?
We have relocated 4 yesterday and relocated another one today, but the property is just small, so it's crowded with trees now. But we're saving 5, this big one, due to the tallness of it, the height of it, and the close proximity to the house that's going to be built.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me and my son dug down 5 yesterday evening and transplanted them. We dug holes 6 feet deep with the excavator and dug around the trees and put a chain and just lifted them right out of their existing growth and put them right back in the hole. And then I was there with a machine to backfill around them, and hopefully they will all survive.
Hopefully. Thank you very much, caller, for that. One of the topics that keep being repeated in relation to the coronavirus has to do with the cruise lines and whether or not we should continue to have them come to this jurisdiction at this point in time. And we're going to close the phone lines off now because we have about 8 minutes left, and I want to share a Jamaica Gleaner article with you in this regard. And this was published just a few days ago, on the 9th of March. And it says, cruise sector shutdown looms. U.S. warning could submerge entire industry, minister fears. It reads, Jamaica has been urged by at least 2 senior cabinet ministers to brace for a near complete shutdown of the cruise industry amid swirling concerns over the novel coronavirus, which has surpassed 107,000 infections worldwide and killed 3,600 people. The situation has been exacerbated by a travel warning issued yesterday by the United States Department of State, imploring American citizens to reconsider cruises because of restrictions to ports of entry. Jamaican health authorities have armed wrestle with cruise lines over the rigidity of the COVID-19 protocols, dictating that travel history and health and temperature logs be turned over to local officials before passengers and crew have been allowed to disembark. It is understood that the crisis has caused Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett to call a meeting of travel industry stakeholders in Kingston for Tuesday. Several ships have been pulled from calls in Jamaica, with Carnival Cruise Lines among the most vocal, threatening to divert all vessels from Jamaican ports. Jamaica had more than 460 cruise ships calls in 2019, with more than 1.5 million passengers visiting the islands. Under the heading Alarm Bells, 2 government ministers with whom the Gleaners spoke yesterday have also raised alarms that the contagion from a downturn in cruise travel has already begun to sow seeds of doubt amongst airline tourists, who represent the lion's share of the more than 4 million visitors to the island annually. Neither minister was willing to go on record. U.S. citizens, this is a quote, U.S. citizens, particularly traveling with underlying health conditions, should not travel by cruise ships, the State Department said in a statement posted on its website on Sunday. CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, notes increased risk of infection of COVID-19 in a cruise ship environment. In order to curb the spread of COVID-19, many countries have implemented strict screening procedures that have denied ports of entry rights to ships and prevented passengers from disembarking in some cases. In some cases, local authorities have permitted disembarkation but subjected passengers to local quarantine procedures. Whilst the U.S. government has evacuated some cruise ship passengers in recent weeks, repatriation flights should not be relied upon as an action for U.S. citizens under the potential risks of quarantine by local authority. So what basically they're saying is that this may happen simply by what the United States, the State Department, and the United States government has advised cruise ship passengers, that we may see a slowdown, or we may see ships simply not calling on this jurisdiction because they may not have the passengers to do so. So I would say, careful what you wish for. Yes, we understand the concern, and we believe and we know that the safety, the health and safety of the population of the Cayman Islands is first and foremost, and that must be done. But we also need to rely on the judgment of our government and professionals in terms of the decisions that they are making. And what better way to know and to hear about those than to go to those district meetings that are being announced, time and location that are being announced on Radio Cayman. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes. I want to thank the Honorable MLA, Mr. Ezra Miller, for being in the studio with us this morning as well. So I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them if you can. And that helping hand should not be, in this case now, a physical hand, because we want to ensure that we follow safety procedures when it comes to coming in contact, with people as well. But we want, I urge you to extend a helping hand to them. And if you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dwayne Banks at 12:15 for talk. Today, join me on Friday, where we should have members of the official opposition in the studio with us as well. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977. 24/7 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates.
FIS MoneyGram, the safest and most convenient way to send money worldwide. MoneyGram, bringing you closer. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. And Fidelity Bank. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Shaken yet standing firm. This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.